Practically most of my life's work has been required to produce a tangible result, whether it came from a time in history when I was working in manufacturing, writing standard operating procedures to make sure that we were meeting quality standards, or whether I was training employees to produce automotive parts to make sure that they were meeting safety standards in less than 0.3% tolerance, or whether or not I was simply working with a small professional in the community in how to figure out how to market themselves in the community much better than they were already. So each aspect of my work in corporate communications of sorts has required a production, whether it was a jingle for a simple little insurance agent, or whether it was an entire marketing plan for a larger company in the financial services industry, or whether it was the launching of a new technological tool back then called Kate, which is basically now what we call voice over IP. So I've had to produce a lot in my life with regard to producing some sort of either tangible print or online marketing piece or some sort of tangible results. Each of my work pieces when I'm working with a client requires producing a marketing plan, a schedule of implementation, and then each individual piece, which is usually about 125 objects, in order to create an overall marketing campaign for a company. So each aspect of doing that, whether it's writing copy, taking photographs, scripting video, shooting and editing that video into production work, then uploading it onto local social media and national social media, each of those pieces requires producing something. Qualifying the customer is something that I'm really good at defining in a process once I am really fully cognizant of what initially is expected to be achieved. By putting in certain types of procedures and agreements in place in advance of a relationship, you let people know what the expectations are for them as a customer or consumer of a product or service. In most marketing campaigns, there is a way to predict who is the right client by really defining about 20 different characteristics that makes that professional the right fit for a product or service. And once I have a better understanding of what the goals are for whichever part of the business practice that you have, or at least are talking about online, that you would like me to participate in, I would be able to really look at that information and help to define that, what we often call that avatar, at least that's been the current language for that sort of thing. It used to just be called target demographic, but in reality, that person can be defined down to even the point of, are they married, are they single, do they have children, do they like certain aspects of hobbies in life. And once you get it all the way defined down to, from the professional setting down to the personal aspects of their life, you really have a better way of qualifying who is the right fit for any type of product or service, even if you're talking about something at a multi-million-dollar company like yours. Because the reality is that it's the professional who's selling them who has to be able to relate to them in some way. And unless you harvest all that information through casual conversation and relationship development, there's no way in heck that you can really get to the heart of why does this person really care enough to make this purchase. And purchases, as you know, are both emotional and intellectual. And so we have to satisfy both aspects of that decision maker's mind in how he feels about the process, but of going through a sales experience and the client retention part afterwards, which most companies totally fail at, in order to gain more referrals for more business in the future. But the reality is that sales is both emotional and intellectual for most decision makers.